This this is my audience.
Hello.
Oh. All right, ready? Okay. Hi, my name is Eloise White. Boom. That's the sound of a backfire. Backfire is a term used to describe what happens when something has the opposite effect of what was intended. And I think social media might be the biggest backfire of all time. Social media was created for people so that they could share their thoughts, stories, and pictures. It was a new way for people to communicate. Unfortunately, what has happened instead is that it has created a hole for people, especially teens, to get stuck in. It's a hole of isolation, often causing loneliness, doubt, and self-depression, or depression in general, where very little physical activity is needed and mental capabilities are negatively affected. Most teens have some sort of device, like a phone, a tablet, or a computer. Although all of these devices can be very useful, too much time or the way that they are spent, or the time that is spent using them, can become socially, mentally, and physically unhealthy. These negative effects are so intertwined, it would be hard to determine that one might be physically unhealthy, but not mentally or emotionally as well. This is a problem that truly affects the teens these days. As a whole person, I will elaborate. Teens are now spending more time on their devices than participating in physical and social activities. Obviously, this is physically unhealthy for them because they're also being mentally and emotionally unhealthy. As stated in the physical activity guidelines on the Centers for Disease and Control, as seen on the prevention website, regular physical activity in children and adolescents promotes health and fitness compared to those who are inactive. Physically active youth have higher levels of fitness, lower body fat, stronger bones, and muscle. Physical activities also has a brain health benefits for school-aged children, including improved cognition, like academic performance and memory, and reduced symptoms of depression. Regular physical activity in children and adolescents can also be important for promoting lifelong health and well-being and preventing risk factors for various health and conditions like heart disease, obesity, and type 2 diabetes. Instead of teens participating in social activities, they're removing themselves because they don't need to go into a certain activity to know what happened or an event. They can just tune in online and figure out what happened. A study states that the amount of time that teens spend physically with friends dropped from 40% from 2000 to 2015. This survey shows that the amount of time that is spent on devices has increased in an exponential amount. And the negative impact of this lack of face-to-face and verbal socialization won't just affect the teens immediately, but it can also affect the rest of their lives. How they learn, how they communicate with others, form opinions, and make judgments in their life decisions. But another study also states that only 50% of high school seniors have jobs while school is in session. Well, in 1970, 77% had jobs while in school. Granted, that was a long time ago and wouldn't have been acceptable if they didn't have a job, but nowadays have changed as well. And I'm not one to judge. My mother had 3 jobs when she was my age and paid for everything herself and still did a great job in school. I do a good job in school, but I have no real set job. I have to play competitive sports, which will get me a scholarship for college. So my mother says that's like my job. And there's all sorts of pros and cons to that too, but that's a whole nother speech. This current generation of teens, Gen Z, as they call it, has become the most unhealthy recorded in history. And again, this isn't just physical sickness, it's truly affecting their whole body, physically and mentally. The rates of depression and suicide are so high that Gen Z is on the brink of the worst mental health crisis that has ever been recorded. And based on these several articles that I have read, the reasons for this whole sickness is pretty clear, and it's social media. When a teen uses social media, they're not interacting with the world around them. They're focused on what they're not doing at the moment. Along with the not doing anything part of the situation, they're not communicating the same way. Like I said before, teens don't actually have to be at an event to know what happened or know the details and anything. They can just go on social media and piece it all together. Except that the version that they create for themselves is most likely won't be at all what the real event was like. Their imagination can make an event that they missed seem much more exciting than it was, and therefore they feel depressed after that, and for not attending that event that they created for themselves. Or they can make themselves believe that the event was not that big of a deal to attend, when really their lack of attendance was detrimental for them in some way, and they're just choosing to ignore that, which in some cases has been good, but also deep down they really do feel left out. Teens' lack of desire or inability to communicate in a traditional or more present manner is connected with social media as well. For instance, nowadays teens don't call each other to set up dates or to get something to eat or go to the movies or go see a soccer game. Instead, they just text a friend and ask instead, or even further, they'll just check out on their friend's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, anything, and figure out what they're doing. They don't even have to ask. And because of this, these teens may decide to stay home instead of having the social interaction that they need. Again, this can lead to hurt feelings, feeling excluded from something, but this also can cause hostile emotions. So if a teen focuses on some anger towards those people who feel excluded, who they feel excluded them, this consistent not doing anything and watching others' lives also leaves these teens feeling as though they're less in some way, or that their lives are lesser. So back to the boom. Social media doesn't need to be done away with. It's not like it doesn't have any purpose, but we would all benefit a lot more from using it the original intended way, as an addition to natural or traditional communication. In addition to natural or intended communication, not as a replacement for it. As a way for us to all celebrate and experience together. Maybe then we'll be hearing fireworks instead of backfires. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you.